Hey, hey, hi, hello. Today we are going to listen to Teens Convicted of Murders Get Revenge. Killer Teens.
The actual crime scene was
Just love my crime shows.
They were covered in blood.
When I first saw the crime scene, I thought we were dealing with psychopaths.
She had no remorse, no care. I saw blood everywhere. I had just been shot.
I'll be doing some crocheting and working on my calendar and working on the episode for Discover Artesian Pasta. So I'll be up and down. I hope the background's, colorful for you.
August 2nd, 2004. The Spalding County, Georgia Sheriff's Department receives a call from 16-year-old Sarah Polk. She tells them her two friends had just visited her and were covered in blood.
They were covered in blood. I've never smelled blood like that before, but I can remember the smell of the blood.
I received a little bit of information that there was a double homicide. So I was told that there was a victim in the kitchen and then there was a victim on the stairs.
When you enter the
Eddie,
home,
stop.
you enter the kitchen, you see Carl Collier lying in a very large pool of blood.
I said
Mr.
stop.
Collier was lying with his face pointing away from the back door. There was blood spatter all in that area. There was an island in the kitchen. And by the blood patterns in the kitchen, you could tell that a horrific fight had occurred in that kitchen. There was one tiny little bloody barefoot footprint on the dining room going from the kitchen to the stairwell to go downstairs.
As you proceed down the steps into the basement, there's blood smeared all over the walls. You can tell there's been a very vicious struggle in the basement. And you quickly find the second victim, Sarah Collier, lying on her back, a large pool of blood.
The saddest victim I've ever had to see, especially because she looked like one of my grandmothers. And when I first saw the crime scene, I thought we are dealing with psychopaths.
Riverdale, Georgia is a suburb of Atlanta, and it's a very quiet, sleepy community. It's the kind of town that these kind of murders don't happen in. Carl and Sarah Collier were upstanding people in the community. They had a lot of friends. They were church-going folks, well respected in the community. They couldn't have children themselves, so they decided to adopt two children of their own. They adopted a son, Kevin Collier, and they adopted a daughter, Carla Collier.
Couldn't have been raised in a better way. Grew up, had everything we needed. Never needed for anything. Carla and I had a normal brother-sister relationship, but she started hanging with a crew that I didn't approve of, as well as my parents didn't approve of.
She got involved in drugs. She got involved in the wrong crowd. She got involved with the wrong men. And she was a troubled kid from the beginning. She was in and out of jail. She was a drug user. She was a stripper. And then she had a daughter, Holly Harvey.
Carla was 18 years old when she had Holly. I do remember her father, Holly's father, being in prison, and Carla going through the birth by herself.
Holly was exposed to things that she should not have been exposed to. Drugs were never hidden from her. Alcohol, Carla drank a lot. Different men coming in and out of the house. And this is throughout the years.
The majority of the kids who kill have some sort of unstable home, unstable environment that they live in.
She got to witness things that you and I wouldn't be able to see growing up as normal kids.
Whenever Carla wanted to go off and do her thing, sometimes she'd say, "Would you babysit for a night?" I wouldn't see her for 4 or 5 days.
That instead of a couple hours, it was a couple of days. I'll be back. Come on.
I hated to see her growing up like that. I really didn't.
I more or less took on like a mother figure to Holly.
Look what I got. You want to come play with you? Awesome. Come on.
Holly was bubbly and happy child, and She was so much fun to be around.
Holly's mother, Carla, is convicted on a drug charge and sentenced to prison. Holly comes to live with Anita.
Carla went to jail, and Holly lived with me. And I just noticed her starting to be more defiant. You know, I get letters from the school, phone calls from the school. By the very end of the school year, she was expelled.
Holly was right at 14 years old when she came to live with me. She'd been living all over the place, and that's when she introduced me to her friend Sandra Ketchum.
Sandy was already on probation, fresh out of YDC. I think she was in a rehab and she had left when she wasn't supposed to. Neither one of them were being controlled by their parents, so bad things happen.
Holly Harvey and Sandy Ketchum both attend the same school and they don't really know each other. One fateful day they meet in the school hallway and they have an instant connection.
I'm Holly. Sandy. I've seen you around, but never really made a hang.
She asked me if Sandy could come over, and I said I don't have a problem with that. I didn't think nothing of it. I figured it's a school friend of hers.
At first they're friends and then close friends, but it becomes more than friends. They eventually become lovers.
That was the start of that relationship while she was at my house.
I knew they were like a couple. I understood that, and I didn't mind that at all.
Holly pretty much stopped doing what I had asked her to do. I told Holly that I thought she needed to find another place to live.
At 15, Holly moves in with her grandparents, Carl and Sarah Collier.
When Holly Harvey landed at her grandparents' home, she wanted to continue to lead the lifestyle that she led prior to moving in with them. And that is, she wanted to do whatever she wanted to do.
She wouldn't do anything my parents wanted her to do. She had her bedroom down in the basement. That's when she started bringing Sandy into her room downstairs. They would do drugs. My parents did not know that Sandy was in there.
The grandparents decided that they were going to put some limits on Holly.
They were totally against a relationship between Sandy and Holly.
The most common scenario of females committing murder is when a parent or a grandparent tells them you can't date somebody.
I just wish we could go away from this place. Somewhere far away. Where we could be together forever. Forever? Forever.
There was a confrontation out in the driveway, and the grandparents were telling Holly that you're going to live by our rules. We want you to go to church. We want you to get, to really turn your life around.
I wish you would both just die!
That's a real nice way to talk, Holly.
I mean it. I should just kill both of you.
My dad had told me that Holly had said that she was going to kill him. You blow that off sometimes, just thinking, yeah, right, she's going to do that. But I wish we had taken that threat more seriously.
Holly had been talking for a couple of weeks about killing her grandparents.
We just have to get the money and all their jewelry. I know where they keep all of it. And then we just take Grandpa's truck. It'll be easy. Okay. You're gonna help me do this, right? Yeah. Sandy, I need to know you're gonna do this with me. Yes, I am. I said I would. I just want us to be together. And we will. I told you.
Peer pressure is one of the top 10 causes of teen murder, and peer pressure was at work in this relationship. Sandy Ketchum is abandoned by her birth mother growing up.
She struggled with her image a lot. She had issues with boys, so it was naturally easier for her to set up friendship with a girl.
Ironically, in this case, Holly Harvey becomes the substitute for a loving, caring mother.
Holly and Sandy had told me, they were smoking laced weed. I could tell that they were about to do something wrong, but I just overlooked it.
One of the most interesting pieces of this case is that Holly Harvey wrote a to-do list on her arm.
She made good notes on her arm as to the things they needed to remember to take.
On her arm, she wrote keys, kill, money, jewelry. They were going to grab the keys to the truck. They were going to kill Grandpa and Grandma. They were going to steal the money and the jewelry from the home. Then they were going to flee. And their dream was always to go to the ocean, so that's where they were going to go.
August 2nd, 2004.
The day of the murder, Sandy Ketchum called a couple of her friends and asked them if they knew where she could get her hands on a gun.
What do you need a gun for? And the girl said, well, take care of business. He says, well, you don't need to do anything crazy. I don't have a gun for you.
Once that fateful day arrived, I think these two girls were going to kill these two people. And I don't think there's anything they could have done on that day to change that.
Unable to procure a firearm, Holly Harvey and Sandy Ketchum retrieved several knives from the kitchen of Holly's grandparents' home.
They went into the kitchen and they got the knives and they took them downstairs.
At approximately 4:45 p.m., Holly and Sandy attempt to lure Holly's grandparents downstairs by smoking marijuana.
They were in the basement smoking marijuana, and the Colliers were about to go on a trip to Hawaii. So they'd come downstairs to get the luggage out of the closet and smell the marijuana.
Open up, Holly. We need to get some suitcases from the closet.
Hold on. Come in.
Okay, Holly, where is it? We know you're doing drugs. You can smell them all over the house.
Sandra was hiding beside the bed, pinned between the bed and the wall. Mr. Collier turned around to get the luggage out of the closet.
You are going to turn out just like your mother.
Riverdale, Georgia, August 2nd, 2004. 15-year-old Holly Harvey and her friend Sandy Ketchum lure Holly's grandparents into her basement bedroom in order to murder them.
Holly, what are you doing?
Mr. Collier pinned her to the bed and had stopped her attack.
Holly yelled for Sandy Ketchum to get out from under the bed and help. She jumped up and started stabbing her grandma. It became just a crazy scene, a bloody scene.
Mr. Collier, at a point, I'm sure Miss Collier did too, realized that they were battling for their lives. So he needed a weapon himself, so he flees the bedroom and goes upstairs with Holly in pursuit. And that's where the battle took place, in the kitchen.
She continued to stab until she finally dealt the fatal blow, a stab to his throat. It was a very bloody scene in the kitchen. The girls kind of were frantic, didn't know what to do, but they went back downstairs and checked on Grandma, and she was still alive.
The bloody footprint that I'd seen in the dining room was Holly traveling after killing her grandfather back to her grandmother to help Sandra finish off her.
Why won't she stop?
Holly Harvey stabbed her numerous times until she was dead.
They looked for money, couldn't find any. They got the keys for the truck and basically just went ahead and fled in panic.
When Holly and Sandy fled the murder scene, they called a friend, Sarah Polk, and they asked if they could stop by and see her.
Holly and Sandy came to my house. They were covered in blood. I've never smelled blood like that before, but I can remember the smell.
We got jumped. We need a place to clean off. Can we come in? Are you hurt?
No. Then where did all this blood come from?
They knew I wasn't falling for that. We got shot. I figured that maybe they might have killed an animal or something.
Eddie? No.
There is no way you're coming into my house.
Eddie? No.
What have you done? We didn't do anything. What did you do? We killed my grandparents, okay?
Holly said we killed my grandparents.
What? Why? Why?
I would see
No
her face.
barking.
Her face
No
was
barking.
pale white. I said, you can't take a shower here. My family will be home soon. And I went and I got them a towel and I gave it.
Go lay down. No barking.
You know, you have to go sit in the driveway. You can't stay here.
No barking. And you,
Sandy
go
and
lay
Molly
down
sitting
somewhere.
in the driveway and I watched as they were rumbling around in the truck to change their clothes and to wash the blood off. And I got to thinking, well, I'm already involved.
Keep going, Lulu.
To do something.
Lulu.
Sarah Polk calls 911.
Papa.
Police are dispatched to search for Holly and Sandy. Sarah to get what additional details she can provide.
Ms. Cole was able to tell us they're in her grandfather's blue pickup truck and what cell phones they were using, which turned out to be Sandy.
Police immediately responded to the home and found the murder scene.
We entered the home. There was a victim in the kitchen. And the obvious wound that I could see that I could tell was probably the fatal one was a gaping wound to his neck. Probably connected
Lay
to the
down.
shoulder vein.
Lay down. Okay,
The second
I
victim
have 3
was
dogs.
the grandmother
And
at the bottom of the stairs, lying face up.
they do have their playtime,
Stab wounds.
their walk around time,
When I first saw the
and
crime
all
scene,
the
I thought
things
they
that
were
little
doing
2-year-olds have.
something. In the room, there was
Okay,
that
so
it had
I'm not perfect. My set is not perfect. This is my life.
and practiced stabbing the painting with the knife. Also in her room, there were pictures of her throughout the room in a bathing suit. And when I looked at that, I made the comment to Ethan. I said, "This girl's going to the beach."
Tybee Island, Georgia. After murdering Holly's grandparents and driving for 4 hours, Holly and Sandy arrive at the coast where they meet 2 teenage boys whose parents own a beach house nearby.
We were just looking for a place to stay.
Be calm.
Sit out here. When the girls tell them they have no place to stay, the boys offer them their beach house. The girls accept.
They had technology that was zoning in on where the girls were based on their cell phones.
So you think it's cool if your parents if we stay here?
Yeah, right, sir. We were notified that the U.S. Marshal's Office had found the vehicle on Tybee Island.
The next morning, the police close in on the beach house.
I was coming through the backyard and a teenage boy came out on the back deck. So what's going on? I said, "We're looking for the girls." He said, "They're in here. We just met them on the beach last night." So I told everybody, this is a house.
Tybee Island, Georgia. Early morning, August 3rd, 2004. 15-year-old Holly Harvey and Sandy Ketchum are being hunted by local law enforcement authorities for the brutal stabbing murder of Holly's grandparents.
We found the girls on the second floor, laying on a mattress on the floor. Sarah had 2 kitchen knives in her pocket.
Your scent is all over the house.
All you had to do
You don't have to keep rubbing it in. Okay?
Holly was laughing. That told me how Holly's mindset was. That she had no remorse, no cares. She wasn't expecting to get caught. And, she was loving the attention.
I was having them separated different cars, and I walked along with Sandra, and I said, "Are you going to tell me what happened? I just want to know. You know, talk to me." She said, "Yeah, I'll talk to you." She showed genuine remorse. There was nothing funny about Sandra Ketchum or what she had been through. One of the things she said was, "I just can't get the smell of blood out of my head."
A few days they had an arraignment. I was there at that where they officially charged him with malice murder. The judge made her get up and tell the story as to what happened.
Where did you get the knife from? And what type of knife was it? A big one. When you stabbed her in the back, what happened?
Did you stay where you started?
It was so chilling to hear those words come out of her that she had done all those things.
I wanted to know why. I love Holly with all my heart and all my soul, but she's not the Holly that I knew. She's not the same Holly that I helped raise.
Holly Harvey is sentenced to 2 life terms in prison. Sandy Ketchum, tried separately, is sentenced to 2 life terms, plus an additional life term for armed robbery involving the theft of Carl Collier's truck. At the sentencing, Sandy Ketchum asks for forgiveness.
If there was any way I could take their place and give them my life, I would have been to life.
I would have had no problem had the law allowed us to do so to have tried you for the death penalty in this case. However, that cannot be done because of your age.
In terms of death penalty, there is some recognition that, when we're dealing with a teen or an adolescent,
Dinner.
we're dealing with unfinished.
Dinner. Oh, okay now. Everybody stop going crazy. Dinner.
Speaking to the press, has asked if she shares any of the blame for her daughter's actions.
Absolutely, I mean, with her actions, with her feelings, I can't
Press conference, she basically said this wasn't any of her doing. How can you not think any of that? I don't think how long just like a mother.
Carla Collier, Holly's mother, died of a drug overdose in 2010.
When you look at the Holly Harvey Sandy Ketchum case, there were 2 major warning signs. The first, it's not normal for a child to say to you, I'm going to kill you, or I'm going to kill all my family. Another warning sign for Holly Harvey is she would write the words, all I want to do is kill. We find these kind of drawings and poetry in teen killers' bedrooms prior to murder. Holly Harvey should have been removed from this home, put into a facility, and been given some in-depth counseling. The Colliers chose, instead, to fix this problem themselves, and unfortunately, it cost them their lives.
Wellington, Ohio, early evening, October 20, 2007. A call is placed to 911. 20-year-old Heidi Archer and her husband Andy have just arrived at Heidi's parents' house to watch a ball game. Her mother is dead. Her father clinging to life with a bullet wound to the back of the head.
I saw blood everywhere. I mean, I had just been shot through the head, right through here.
And her 16-year-old brother Danny is holding a 9mm pistol.
A lot of these cases happen in places where you wouldn't expect them to happen, like a rural, nice, tight-knit community like Wellington, Ohio.
We're just basically a normal family. I had 2 siblings, my younger sister Holly and my younger brother Danny. My dad was a minister. We went to church on Sundays and Wednesdays.
Our relationship with our parents has always been pretty good. There's always going to be a higher expectation when your father's a pastor.
Sometimes I think that pressure can get to a kid. I think Danny just wanted to kind of do his own thing. He's the type of person that if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it to the extreme. Like the video games, for example, he took them to the extreme.
Danny was very involved in sports. He loved to play football. He was good. I mean, he's a good football player. He's a tailback, and I'll tell you, that boy could run. Sometime around in December of 2006, him and his friends, they go snowboarding, and he had some type of an injury to his. He got hurt. Not severe. He didn't have to go to the hospital or anything like that, but he hurt his back. Around March, the pain in his back became so severe, we had to take him to the emergency room, and they found out Danny had a very, very serious staph infection in his spine.
Danny is hospitalized for 1 week. Doctors prescribe an aggressive course of antibiotics and further bed rest for 3 months.
Because of his spinal injury, he was kind of bedridden. He was made to stay at home. He could not do anything physical, which would kind of led to some of his depression.
He kept asking, can I go do this? Can I go do that? Can I play? Can I go with my friends? They were paintball fanatics, and he could do nothing. So we got him the Xbox, and he wanted to start playing all these games with the shooting. And so we did some shooting games with, hunting animals, these kinds of things. And then he became very obsessed with the Halo series, Call of Duty, and other games. There were some that he showed me, and I'm just looking at that and I'm going, I'm not comfortable with that. Just killing people.
I'd be there visiting and he would be playing, and it was like that was all that he wanted to do.
He didn't eat as much as he did before, and if he stayed up late, he'd have dark circles and stuff.
Oh my gosh, no way!
One of the remarkable things about video games is they create an artificial reality in which you strive greatly for achievement. And your achievement is always recognized. You get points, you get skills, you get abilities, you get to level up. So what we've done is we've systematically created reward, a powerful reward for the act of killing. And this is like a dopamine receptor. It's like a drug, like heroin.
Even when he would come over to my apartment and I would try and get him to not play his video games, he would get angry at me and get way out of character from his norm.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Why? I just won't come over. I just won't come over anymore.
I didn't really see him very much after that because of the fact that I wouldn't let him play it at my house.
I did not at all believe that they were healthy for our kids. So we banned, Sue and I banned those games from our home, especially the ones with all the blood and gore. They were not allowed.
He's the baby of the family, so he'd go to mom first because she might be more softer, and dad was more strict, and then she would go and talk to dad, but then they would still agree that no, he shouldn't have it.
On September 20th, 2007, the newest addition to the Halo series is set to be released at midnight.
He asked for money to go buy Halo 3, and we said, no, you're not allowed to buy that. So when Halo 3 went on sale at midnight, we didn't know he was saving his money from his allowance. He borrowed $20 or $30 from one of his friends in church, and that night snuck out with his friends before midnight to be at the store to buy the game. And then he came home about 3:30 in the morning, and Sue heard him coming in and caught him.
Danny, where have you been? Danny, where did you get that game?
They came into the room and woke me up, and I said, okay, we'll deal with this another time. It's late. They took the game. I locked it up in my lockbox with the gun. They said, you're not playing it.
That was kind of the trigger that he took his game, his brand new game he just bought, this game he couldn't wait to play. His dad took it from him. And this is going to be the trigger in the case. This is going to be the final straw that's going to propel Danny to murder.
16-year-old Danny Petrie has undergone a profound change since he became addicted to violent video games.
Give me a second!
He sat my wife and I down one day, right here in this house, and he said, Dad, I don't want to be a Christian anymore. I don't want to go to church anymore. I hate being a Christian. I hate having Christian parents. I just want to get a job, earn money. I'll pay you rent, and I'll do what I want to do. No, that is not acceptable. You live in our home. We are your parents. You will go back.
Okay.
You will not live here. And that's what Danny was looking for. He said, okay. He packed his bags and he left for the weekend. He went to his friend's house and for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday played Halo 3. John said he played for 72 straight hours.
Get the flag that's right there.
So when he came out of that and, we decided to deal with this, we told him, Danny, we're putting this away. You're not playing it now because you are doing nothing but manipulating us. And this is your consequence. And then he got angry. He never threatened us. Danny was never a violent kid. All his life, never.
A few days later, Danny was able to find the key on his key ring to that lockbox. He opened up the lockbox, grabbed the video game, and he grabbed the handgun, a 9mm handgun. He hides the game and the handgun in his backpack, and he will use that gun on a Saturday afternoon.
Saturday, October 20th, 2007.
We had a normal day on that Saturday. And this is where it's going to get, probably a little difficult to talk about. I'll do the best I can. Danny and I were outside, and we're doing some chores. Then we come in and get cleaned up. We're getting ready to watch the Cleveland Indians play the Boston Red Sox. They're in the playoffs. So I kicked back after eating, and I kind of conked out, and Sue was getting ready, and she was sitting right over here putting makeup on, and I'm sitting over on the couch over there, and I just kind of conk out. And the next thing I realized, Danny walks into the room.
Mom, Dad, close your eyes. I got a surprise for you guys.
And immediately in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, he's come to his senses. He's really looking at this rationally now of why we aren't allowing him to play these violent video games. And he's going to say, I'm sorry, and I want to live here, and things are better. And this is what went through my mind immediately. And I'm like, close our eyes. I was, oh, okay. Because Danny, my son.
Danny fires once, hitting his father at point-blank range in the back of the head. He then turns the gun on his mother, firing several shots as she lifts her arms to protect herself. She is killed instantly with a final bullet to the head.
Sue Petrick, Danny's mother, was shot between 2 and 4 times, once in the head, in the arms, and possibly the chest. He killed his mother, and quickly Mark Petrick regained consciousness.
The next thing I know, I'm waking up. I could not think. My ears were ringing very loudly, and I looked over at Sue, and it looked like she was sleeping. Danny sits down next to me on the couch. And you know what he handed me? Tried to hand me? 9mm handgun.
Danny took the handgun and laid it in his lap because he was going to tell the police that my father shot my mom and my father shot himself.
I looked down, and when I looked down at the gun, I saw blood everywhere. I mean, I had just been shot through the head, right through here.
At that moment, Danny's sister Heidi and her husband Andy arrived at the home to watch the game.
So we got up to the door, and Danny opened it just enough to say, it's not a good time right now. You guys should just come back later. But then I could hear someone in the background. All I could hear was just kind of like a moan. And that was the first alarm. What is going on? Andy, I think, felt the same way, and he pushed the door open, and that's when we came into the scene. My mom was on the couch. She was already dead. My dad, however, was covered in blood and still conscious, still sitting up and trying to talk to us, but it was very gurgled from all of the blood and everything. And Andy didn't want me to stay in the house, and so he told me to go back out on the porch. So that's what I did, and I called 911. In the meantime, Andy was trying to help my dad. I kept running back into the house trying to help my dad, but it's hard when you have a face wound because you don't want to block their airway, but yet you want to stop the bleeding.
There's an ambulance en route. Is your father conscious?
Yes, he's conscious. Dad's still awake. Still awake, Dad.
Danny told us that my dad had shot my mom and then shot himself, which didn't make sense. He picked up the gun.
I
grabbed it. It was like taking it from a wet noodle. I mean, he didn't struggle or anything. You know, I took it from him and I ejected the shell that was in it and took the clip out.
Danny ended up leaving the scene with the Halo game and took the family minivan and drove off.
Did your brother shoot your parents?
The police show up. They secure the scene. They put out a be on the lookout for the van that Danny Petrick is riding in.
As Danny flees, he calls a friend on his cell phone.
Nothing like that shot my mom.
VMT show up. They life flight Mark Petrick to the hospital. He's in severe critical condition. And they secure the scene, and then the homicide detectives come in to collect all the evidence.
We had to give the sheriff's department our statements and everything, and then we had to go up to the hospital because my dad was up there. We didn't know if he was going to live or die.
I think it was just the day that really that God saved my dad's life.
When Mark gets to the hospital and he's stabilized, the detectives are questioning Mark, and he's able to talk about what happened to him and actually give them a little bit of a story. Within a half hour, they have Danny Petrick stopped.
Wellington, Ohio, October 20th, 2007. While police already suspect that Daniel Petrick has shot his parents, he tells them his father shot his mother and then shot himself.
I haven't seen the car. What's your name? All right, Daniel, I haven't seen the car. Until we find out what's going on. I know what's going on.
A short time later, Danny's disposition seems to become unemotional.
How long is this going to take, officer?
And then, left alone in the car, a telling question.
I think that's the question on everybody's mind. His sisters, his dad, you know, what were you thinking?
At the time of his arrest and interrogation, Danny is unaware that his father has survived.
I believe teenagers, they don't have fully developed brains, and one of the things they cannot do is they cannot kind of put their arms around consequences. If you kill someone, you will go to prison for the rest of your life.
Confronted with overwhelming evidence that a murder-suicide was highly unlikely, Danny Petrick confesses to shooting his mother and father. This police interview, conducted with Mark Petrick in the hospital approximately 2 weeks after the shooting, illustrates the severe extent of Mark's injuries. He cannot speak and can answer only by nodding or shaking his head.
The most shocking thing in the whole case for Mark, his father, is he can't believe he shot his mother. His mom was his favorite. His mom was everything to him. He shoots the one person he's closest to, the one person who probably loves him more than anybody else.
Just 2 days after the arrest, Danny is surprised by 2 visitors.
When Holly and I went to go visit him, Danny couldn't even look at me in the eye.
I was like shaking on the way there because it's just really scary. You're talking about, the person that just killed my mom and shot my dad.
I mean, he couldn't even hold his head up. No clue as to why, and just was extremely remorseful and sorry and just ashamed.
As soon as I saw him, I didn't even hate him. I wasn't mad at him. Just to see him just made me love him, and I felt so bad for him.
Daniel Petrick, now 22, speaks in an exclusive interview.
My name is Daniel Petrick. I'm incarcerated at Mansfield Correctional Institution. Went through a little rough patch in my life. Ended in murder, as a lot of people know. I made a lot of mistakes in my life, I really have. I grew up in a Christian household where there's a lot of rules and a lot of restrictions on what I did based on Christian values, and that wasn't what I wanted growing up.
When we take a look at, the mind, if you will, of a teenager, I think it's more important sometimes to also take a look at the brain of the teenager. There's a part of the brain called the prefrontal lobe.
sort of governs executive functions, things like planning, things about cause and effect. That part of the brain isn't finished yet.
Did I put the consequences with my actions? Not really. Prison isn't a place I've been prior to this. You're separated from your family, separated from society, the rest of the world, and no, that's definitely not something I understood. I'm not really sure at what point in time the transition came from me just being a normal 16-year-old to being a killer. You just gradually push moral boundaries and values and priorities out the way. Eventually, you don't even know who you are anymore.
He was a bit, in some ways, a bit stunned himself, but you didn't have the emotional quality of being shocked or stunned like, I can't believe what I did. That's not me. There was none of that. There was a very calm and in a sense, sometimes eerie demeanor.
I just wanted to play the video games. I don't think anything short of me getting what I wanted would have stopped me. That's just how it was. I miss my mom, I really do. And it's so weird to say just because people, how could you love her, how could you miss her when, you're the one that, did this in the first place. And I don't know. If I could go back and change it, I would. I really would. I had a close relationship with my mom. I really did. She, my dad would always come down hard on me with punishments and stuff when I'd mess up and ground me or whatever. And she'd always go easy on me and take me to the side, baby me.
I could not get the thoughts from that night out of my head. I couldn't. And all the anger building, the rage building, and then the Lord began to deal with my heart about forgiving Danny.
Once Lord Petrick decided to forgive his son, he stopped cooperating with the prosecution and the police. And he decided he was not going to help them put his son in prison for the rest of his life.
Daniel Petrick is found guilty of aggravated murder.
The verdict of the court is that there is a finding of guilty on all of the counts set forth in the indictment.
Daniel Petrick was sentenced to 23 years to life in the Mansfield Correctional Institution in Mansfield, Ohio.
We did the very best we could to raise our children. We weren't perfect, but we did the very best we could. There was no alcohol, no drugs, no beatings, no physical abuse, no sexual abuse. None of that was a part of our family.
When we look at the Danny
Things
Petrick case,
happen.
we have to ask ourselves, what can we learn from the case? Well, there's not a lot of warning signs we could have seen. But if you're going to have guns in your home, they should be locked up in a way that your children never have access to.
Right.
A lot of parents are shot and killed with their own guns.
Yes,
It could actually cost you your own life.
that's right. Amen.